Welcome to today's Explainer. We're skipping the basic, surface-level marketing fluff today and diving straight into a premium, highly analytical business case study. Look, if you're a SaaS founder, an app developer, or maybe a marketing agency owner, you already know that acquiring customers is really only half the battle. Retaining them, that is where the actual profit is made. So in this session, we're going to completely dissect the exact architecture of automated churn prevention. We're talking real workflows, the real psychology behind them, and hard numbers to show you exactly how to permanently plug the revenue leaks in your subscription business using the GoHighLevel ecosystem.
Okay, let's jump right into this. A SaaS founder out in San Francisco recently sent me his churn report. Last quarter, 312 customers had canceled their subscriptions. Now, when you're running a software or subscription business, seeing a number like that pop up on a quarterly report is a literal gut punch. It's this incredibly stark reality that a lot of founders face, but honestly, very few talk about openly. Think about it. Every single one of those 312 lost users cost real money, time, and serious marketing effort to acquire, only to just walk right out the back door.
And the financial damage here? It is absolutely staggering. At an average contract value of $197 a month, those 312 lost customers represent $61,464 in monthly recurring revenue that just vanished. Poof, gone. And remember, that is not a one-time loss. That's over $60,000 missing from the balance sheet every single month going forward. When you annualize that, you're looking at nearly $750,000 just evaporating. We're not talking about some minor metric slipping here. We are talking about massive, critical revenue hemorrhaging.
Which brings us to Section 1. The cost of silence, or the 18-day gap. To really figure out this massive revenue leak, we have to look at the industry's most common mistake. Most software companies actually do monitor user activity, but when a user's platform usage drops, they just fire off this generic automated email blast. And then? Well, then they just wait. They literally sit on their hands while thousands of dollars walk right out the door. A generic email is basically a passive defense. It doesn't ask a targeted question, it doesn't offer real human support, and it for sure doesn't intercept a frustrated user. You're basically relying on hope, which, as we all know, is definitely not a viable business strategy.
Now, the timeline this reveals is just wild. The data showed that on average, there was an 18-day gap between a customer's last login and their formal cancellation request. Think about that. 18 days of absolute deafening silence. During those 2.5 weeks, that customer is slowly making the mental decision to leave, and the business is doing absolutely nothing to stop it because, frankly, they're completely unaware it's even happening.
We call this phenomenon silent churn. It's the slow, steady deterioration of a customer's engagement right there in the unmonitored gap before they formally cancel. See, churn is not an overnight event. A customer doesn't just wake up randomly on a Tuesday and decide to hit the cancel button. No way. It's a slow, psychological process of disengagement. They stop logging in, they forget the core value of the software, they see that monthly charge hit their credit card, and then they cancel. Your entire window of opportunity to save them exists exclusively within that silent gap.
So let's look at Section 2, the automated prevention workflow and the 5-step GHL system.
Right, so here is the exact solution. These are the 5 sequential steps in the GoHighLevel automated intervention system. Instead of treating all inactive users exactly the same, this workflow creates a really smart progressive escalation path. It kicks off with light, automated touchpoints, escalates to actual human intervention, leverages customized cancellation flows, and literally continues working even after an account has been closed. Let's break down exactly how each of these triggers functions.
So, trigger number 1 activates at the very first sign of trouble. The system constantly monitors user activity, and the second a user's normal usage drops by 50%, the workflow fires off an automated yet highly personal SMS text message. It says, "Hey, we noticed you haven't logged in this week. Is there something we can help you with?" A casual SMS text breaks that 18-day silence dramatically better than some stiff corporate email. It feels like a real human checking in, and it immediately starts a two-way conversation before the user even fully realizes they're at risk of churning.
Now, what if there's still no response and no login for 7 days? Well, trigger 2 kicks in, but this time it's not customer-facing, it's an internal automation. GoHighLevel automatically creates a centralized task right inside the CRM and assigns it directly to a dedicated customer success manager. Because everything is centralized, the staff member sees exactly what's due that day right on their dashboard. This mobilizes actual human intervention at the exact moment it's needed, making sure a real person picks up the phone or sends a personalized voice drop before the relationship is too far gone.
By day 14 of total inactivity, we hit trigger 3, The customer is now deep in the danger zone, so the system automatically escalates to a totally friction-free reactivation offer. This is an invitation to book a completely free strategy session with the team. We are proactively reaching out just to make sure they get full value out of the platform. We aren't trying to upsell them anything. We're just saying, hey, let us help you set this up. It's an incredibly powerful way to re-anchor the software's value before they hit day 18 and officially decide to leave.
Now, what if they actually make it all the way to the cancellation page? This is where the custom SaaS cancellation flow kicks in. Instead of just giving them a native one-click exit, we present a branded, multi-step save sequence. We actually ask for their specific reason for canceling. If they select price, the system dynamically offers a time-bound percentage discount. If they choose temporarily not using it, boom, we offer a free 30-day membership pause. We completely replace a generic exit button with highly targeted retention alternatives that catch them right at the finish line.
Finally, even if a user bypasses all of that and cancels anyway, the system still doesn't give up. It drops them right into a win-back pipeline. 30 days post-cancellation, they get an automated sequence outlining recent software updates that are based directly on their specific exit feedback. Former subscribers are actually highly likely to return if you can prove you've solved their core problem. And if they do reactivate, the system automatically restarts their onboarding sequence to make absolutely sure they don't fall off a second time. It's literally an automated safety net from end to end.
Moving on to Section 3, the psychology of retention and filling the gap.
Let's shift gears for a second from the technical setup to the underlying behavioral psychology here. Why exactly does early intervention completely outperform last-minute discount offers? Well, think about it. If you wait until a customer is already on the cancellation page to finally offer them a discount, you're essentially just bribing them as they walk out the door. You're accidentally training them that your product wasn't really worth the full price to begin with. But by intervening on day 3 with a genuinely helpful text or day 7 with a real human phone call, you're demonstrating proactive customer care. You're solving the friction long before it ferments into actual frustration.
I want you to really let the weight of this business reality sink in for a second. Churn doesn't happen overnight. It happens slowly, in the quiet gap between their last login and your next contact. If you don't intentionally build systems to fill that gap, your customers will absolutely fill it with their own reasons to leave.
Okay, Section 4, the 60-day turnaround and the undeniable proof.
Because, in business, psychology and theory only matter if they actually move the needle on the balance sheet. So through this new system, the software identified 312 at-risk accounts in real time. And thanks to that casual SMS text and the automated CRM tasks, 247 of those customers actually responded to the check-in. That is engagement that literally never would have happened otherwise. Out of those responses, 143 users were completely reactivated and brought right back to normal usage levels. By simply proactively checking in, they successfully intercepted nearly half of the accounts that were already headed for the exit. The macro impact on the business was just dramatic. They went from a highly concerning 8.2% monthly cancellation rate all the way down to a super healthy 2.9% cancellation rate. They slashed their churn by more than half, purely through implementing an automated, intelligent communication system. They didn't have to rebuild their software. They didn't have to hire an army of support staff. They just had to stop being silent.
Which brings us to the most important number in this entire explainer, $38,400. That is the exact amount of monthly recurring revenue this founder saved. By retaining those 143 accounts that were absolutely destined to churn, they injected over $38,000 back into their monthly cash flow. And again, to put that into perspective, that is with absolutely zero changes to the product itself and zero price drops. It is pure retained profit generated entirely by an automated workflow.
As we wrap up this masterclass, I want to leave you with a stark, highly memorable takeaway to really challenge your own retention strategy. Churn does not happen overnight. It happens in the silence between their last login and your next email. Fill that silence. Look closely at your own customer journey today. Where are those silent gaps? And more importantly, what